just like addition and subtraction oppose each other, negate each other, cancel each other, multiplication, division do the same thing, right? So if I have a variable multiplied by another number, how do I get rid of the multiplication with class? How do I get rid of multiplication? Division. I have to apply the opposite. And this is what I was relating it to is if one of my children, who will be unnamed, used a Sharpie, not Colin, to scribble on the sidewalk outside, the only way to get it off is to do the opposite and to clean it, right? So the opposite approach is going to be what's necessary to get rid of something, right? Yes, there was this day in the summer that Isaac discovered Sharpie and went wild outside, didn't he?
He said because he couldn't find any chalk.
He couldn't find any chalk, so he found a Sharpie and put X's on all of our paver bricks outside on the landscaping, made a bat on the sidewalk. So at my front door, where the UPS drivers leave my Amazon packages, there's a big X on the porch for them to put the we tried scrubbing some of it off, but still I can see it there. And the bat is still on my sidewalk. So if you're walking through the neighborhood and you see a bat on the sidewalk, you're like, oh, that must be Mrs. Moore's house because there's a bat on the sidewalk. All right, we're gonna get started with something simple. I'm gonna share the screen, share the whiteboard. And everyone at home can see the whiteboard now too, right? Okay. I'm gonna do something straightforward just to get the technique down. We're still going to be using the 3 steps. And if I happen to give you a pop quiz, I'm going to have to recalibrate this. What would the 3 steps be if you had to write them down? Okay, I'm going to recalibrate while you write step 1, 2, 3 on that empty space next to the more practice section.
We already did
That you did that on yesterday's.
on page 77.
Yes, I'd like it on today's as well. What are the 3 steps, class? Write it down. Step 1. Identify the variable. Step 2. Make a balanced move. And why do I have 62 messages, people? 3. Simplify to solve. Right? Okay, now I have 63 messages. What's going on here? Do I have to turn off my group chat or are you guys going to get it in check?
I don't know the lesson.
Wait, did someone actually say that?
Yeah.
All right, everyone at home,
Oh my God.
stop the chat room business or it's going to be turned off. We're supposed to be using it for educational purposes, right? So do we have these 3 steps written on our page today? Okay. I'm going to go calibrate the board while you work.
Can we start?
Nope. Thank you. All right, simple one to start. I'm going to use multiplication first. All right. Step 1, class. Identify the variable. Beep, 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 balance bar, just like yesterday. Step 2, you got to make a balanced move, right? So I first have to identify how are these things connected so that I know how to undo it, right? So how is the 4 connected to the variable that I'm trying to get along, class? With multiplication. So how do I negate or cancel multiplication? I divide. So you can draw divide by 4, balance move on both sides, divide by 4. Okay. Then you show. You're simplifying by slashing it, it's gone. Left with x equals And if you can compute that in your head, you can just write down the response, right? But if you needed some extra workspace to calculate that, you would go off to the side with it, just like we did when we were doing order of operations, right? We had like shove your work off to the side. Make sense?
Mhm.
Let's do one with division. Okay, let's do the eraser, because that's too slow. All right. Division. It could look two different ways. It could look like this. X divided by 6 equals 3, we'll say. And I would identify the variable. I would undo division by multiplying, right? Left with X equals 18. I could see it that way, but I might also see it, I'll just write it next door. Might also see it like this. And a fraction represents division, right? So it's okay if you see it written like this, you still apply the same process. You still identify the variable. You still go, aha, that's division. How do I get rid of it? Multiplication. Gone, X equals same thing, 18. How do I test if that solution is valid? Zoe, what do?
You divide by 6.
I take that value and I plug it back into the original expression. And if it balances with the other side of the equation, it's right. Is 18 divided by 6, 3? Yes, so we're in the clear.
Whenever you have one of those division like fractions, is it always top divided by bottom?
Always.
Okay.
If you couldn't hear Zoe's question, she said, when I have something set up like a fraction, is it always the top divided by the bottom? Yes. This is your numerator is always your dividend, and your denominator is always your divisor. Always. Okay? So let's get into some examples from the workbook. And I'm going to say they are a little more intense because they involve decimals or maybe some long division, but that's nothing you don't know how to do already. We just have to pull it out of our background knowledge, okay? So I'm looking at 78 and I'm looking at number 1. 78, number 1. And it's written like this, 3.5x equals 6 point, oh my goodness, what's happening today? Yikes. Here, maybe I'll scoot down a tiny bit. Please behave, dear whiteboard. 6.665. Okay. Step 1, everybody. Identify the variable. Straight through your balance bar. Okay. Recognize how they're connected so that you know how to undo it. How are they connected right now? Through multiplication. You can draw yourself a little dot in between if you like to remind yourself multiplication is happening, right? Okay. So if multiplying is happening, I undo multiplication through division. You can write it like this, divide by 3.5, or you can write it like this, divide by 3.5. It's up to you, whichever method you prefer. They both mean the same thing, but you do have to perform it on both sides, right? To keep it balanced. Okay, next part, simplify. Simplify by showing these eliminate each other. They're not worth 0. They're actually worth 1, right? 3.5 divided by 3.5 is equal to 1. And 1 times x is just x. So the identity property is a little bit different with addition, subtraction, creates a 0 situation, right? And with multiplication, division, it creates a 1, which is fine because we know 1 times anything just reveals that very same term. The last thing I have to do in order to clean up the right-hand side is actually go and divide, right? I can't do that up in my head, so I have to make myself a work zone off to the side and set it up. Divisor in the front, dividend in the inside. Now pull out your memory bank of what do I do when I have a decimal in the divisor? What do I have to do? I like to, see, I told you it would work. I like to move it, right? So it becomes this problem. 66.5 divided by 35. It becomes that new problem. So how many times does 35 go into 66? Once. If I subtract them, I get 31, drop down the next piece of the dividend. And what are we guessing here? About 9 times, can't go 10. And that would be, let's see, 35 times 9, 34, 28, 29, 30, 31. Hey, 315, right on the money. So the answer that I'm putting back in this spot is 1.9. How can I test if that's truly the solution? By taking 1.9 and multiplying it times 3.5, what should I get? 6.65. That's what I should get. So the only thing that's different today is instead of combating addition with subtraction, I'm combating multiplication with division and vice versa, okay? And still using some of our decimal operation skills that we have in the past. Let's check out number 2. Check out number 2. 489 equals n divided by 2.3. Okay, step 1. Identify the variable. Oh, there we go. Then we're going to make a balance move to get n by itself. So what's connected to the n that I got to get rid of? This, right? How do I get rid of divided by 2.3? I multiply by 2.3 on both sides. Got to keep it balanced. And some people need to make a bigger dot so that they recognize that's not a decimal point, it's multiplication. Cool. So that's gone. Left with n. Now I have to clean up the left, simplify the left, which I could probably do it right here. But if you wanted to work off to the side, you could as well, right? 489 times 2.3, I multiply like regular. And then at the very end, I have to do something about this 3, right? It's in a decimal zone. So I'm going to have to scooch my decimal point in one place value when I'm all done computing the value, right? So you guys go ahead and find the product between 489 and 2.3, and then we'll slide the decimal point in one place value when I'm done. Go ahead. Add together those partial products. And then we have one decimal zone, so did anyone get the same thing as me? Yeah? Okay, so where do I put that number? Where do I put that product? I put it in the spot that represents the solution, right? Set up number 3 for me. How we doing with number 3? No fun.
Are we just setting it up or are we finishing the problem?
You can go ahead and finish it now. I just wanted to check that you were setting it up properly before you go and do a whole bunch of calculations, right? So if you're setting it up properly, you identified your variable, you made your balance bar, you said this is division, so how do I get rid of division? I multiply. So I'm going to multiply both sides by 0.45. And my board is acting really funny today. Sorry, guys. And that will leave me with the value of Q, which I think you can compute pretty easily. Multiply 40 or times 0.45. What do we get?
18.
18? Plain and simple? Is it okay to put 18.0 or 18 point,
Yeah.
whatever you end up getting, as long as it represents the same value as 18? We're good. Okay, one more division, number 4. One more division.
And we can do homework.
And then we can work on our homework, okay? One more division. We've got T times 75 equals 15. And this is referring to money. All right, step 1, I gotta see it on your paper. Identify the variable. Not sure why the board keeps making this ridiculous line, but okay. How do I get rid of the stuff connected to the variable? Right now they're multiplied together. How do I get rid of multiplication? Division. So I'm going to divide both sides by 75. And this is probably the trickiest part, is setting it up properly. Which is the dividend, which is the divisor? I have to put them in the right positions, right? Help me out.
15 is the divisor.
15 is the dividend.
Dividend.
75 is the divisor. So it has to, the divisor has to go out front, right? Uh-oh. I can't put 75 into 15. Do you know what to do to make it happen? Karina? She said add a placeholder 0, but before I do, I have to put a decimal point, right? To show that it's going to stretch into the decimal zone. Do you remember this? Now I can do it. How many times does 75 fit into 150? Think of money to help you along. Think of money. How many times does 75 fit into 150? Think of some quarters to help you with that connection, John. 2. That's it. And that's 150. Thanks. So answer 0.2. And it was related to money. Wow.
Oh my
It
God.
was related to money. So we should put it in terms of cents and put an extra placeholder 0 there, just so it looks like that format, right? So it looks like if I multiply 20 cents times $75, I would get $15, right? All right. How are we feeling about this? Want to get started on your assignment? Your assignment is back on the previous page, numbers 1 through 6 on 77, okay? 1 through 6 on 77, and I'm going to let you guys quietly work and be here to support you like yesterday. No, they're not going to have remainders, so just keep going. Add a placeholder 0 if needed to push a little bit deeper. Tomorrow we don't have formal math class, but I do have a quick practice. You know how we have extended homeroom and we'll have an extra hour, a whole extra class period at the end of the class day. So I do want us to continue practicing the skill before the end of the week, because I already missed a day with you guys earlier. So I don't want to miss 2 days with you. It will be the same stuff. It won't be anything new. It'll be more addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, equations. And you just perform the solutions for each, okay? All right, you work. I'm going to put on some music, turn off this recording. Stay on the Zoom if you'd like. for any additional help, okay?